on? Is it? Is it not on? Oh, we have a Red Bull spinner at the back, leading up to their grid place. Not sure what happened there. Yeah, just send us a invite, Odyssey, and we'll get this underway as best we can.
I think the stream is now fixed.
Okay.
So it should be... Yeah, it is fixed. Cool.
Okay, sorry about that, everybody. We had a little bit of a technical problems, but now we're on our way for the second Grand Prix of the year, Bahrain.
Yeah, and it's lights out and away we go then for the first race of the season. Bob Ross on pole, getting a good start, already gapping the field by a good 0.5 of a second. Then comes Oscar, followed by Wiki in P3. As Chunks goes down the inside of Stevo, then as they battle away for what is currently P6 and P5. Then as Chunks then loses out to Stevo, but Stevo hangs on. Then as we go further back down the field, and is there any real movers? Not quite, or not many, as Das and Dunn fighting away then for P7. And there is a yellow flag, not sure who that's for. Anything you want to come in with?
Yeah, so I think the biggest loser out of that start was KXI in down to fourth. Oscar's found himself up to second on the hard, so if he can keep hold of that Williams for a few laps, I think Oscar will be in a good situation there.
Yep.
Papa Stevo's made up one place. Yeah, so there's a lot of different tyre strategies. So it'd be very interesting how it all plays out in the first stint.
And Papa Stevo's making a lovely move on the inside then of the Alfa Romeo of KXI. He went up the inside of Wiki there, down the main straight, and got Wiki very nicely. Also, Daz is was trying to make up a position similar to similar to Stevo in the McLaren. As they're all fighting away for position then in these opening 2 laps of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Is it just me, or have you got any sound on the what you call it?
Chunky but funky is behind 5th player with Rickety. He's all over him. Going into this next braking system. Oh, yeah, sorry. So say that again, Odyssey.
I ain't got any sound on the engines. Just wondering if it was just me, or have you got any?
I've got sound on the engines, yes.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah, I'm just want to make sure. Can someone write in the chat on the live stream whether they can hear me or not, please?
But currently Bob Ross setting the pace of a 1:32.8 then. He is absolutely flying away from the rest of the field. Already got a 2.4 second gap over Oscar and a 4 second gap back to Stevo, with KXI currently in 4th. Chunky is in 5th for Aston Martin, as the top 2 are kind of pulling away a little bit from the rest of the field overall, and currently there's about a 5 second gap then splitting the top 4 then.
Yeah, so Chunky but Funky's made up another place from 6th to 5th. Wickedy just struggling a little bit on them tyres. But as I said before, I think if Oscar can really keep in content with Bob Ross on them softs, he's got a very good chance this afternoon.
Yeah, Bob Ross certainly does. Well, Oscar has a good chance overall, and same with KXI. Pretty much anyone can win it though. This is
As I say,
likely
it can
Grayson.
get a bit crazy, but so far so good. No safety cars. That's how we want it. Everybody keeping it nice and fair, and we should have a good race.
Yep, indeed. Right, as Steve-O comes down the straight, goes defensive to the right side, as KXI is going to have a look into turn one. Can he go around the
Around the
outside?
outside,
Nope, but he could have a good exit here, which will help him up into turn four, and he will have the DRS to prevail if he can get that move done, but I think he's way too far back there, um, so there's no real chance in getting the move done. As I think Das, has he gone up a position? I think he might have done, but in the background there's a bit of fighting going on between the Haas driver and the gamer. Currently, they were fighting for, I think, P16 and P16 and P17. As he gets now past the Haas driver up into P15 now, he will go past Wiki. And Wiki's having a bit of a bad race. He's going backwards so far at the moment for the Haas driver. So he'll be disappointed in that start to his race.
it'd be quite interesting how Bob Ross can manage these tyres, these soft tyres, and how many laps he can go for without him falling off the cliff windows, out the window, sort of thing. It'd be interesting what tyres that he picks next. I believe that he might go for the hards, do a nice long run. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
obviously he's one of two drivers to actually start on the hards today because you got also Morgan. Then as we got a three-way battle then for P5. Then we got
oh,
Dunn on the inside. Dunn, I think, will get the position then here from the Alfa Romeo driver of Ferry. Pretty sure that's how you'd pronounce that name.
or or fairy.
Yeah,
No,
because
sorry.
my brother surname is Ferry, but spelled with a Y. Um, so yeah, obviously I. Um, so yeah, the Alpine got very nice move there, have to say, and that puts him up into fifth, and he's on the hards. Obviously, hard runners are going to go a lot longer than the medium. Well, not a lot longer, but maybe about 4 or 5 laps longer. As we've got a
Mm,
few cars off in the background,
we
and
got
then we've got those on mediums. They'll probably
we
stop
got
around 15th.
yeah. We got Papa Stevo struggling a little bit on them mediums on third. KXI is reeling him in a couple of tenths per lap. So it'll be quite interesting to see how we will play this one out. But he's really struggling for grip at the minute. It's only lap six, so he's used quite a lot of the life of them tyres.
Yeah, certainly early to be struggling on mediums, I'd say. I know it is lap six, so they would have gone away a little bit, but shouldn't be. Well, if the softs are holding up still for Bob Ross, really the mediums should be holding up nicely for
Yeah,
Stevo.
and it all depends on what setups the drivers have really done as well, and our
True,
homework for this race. So
true, true,
yeah,
true. So Bob Ross leads the way from Oscar, from Stevo, from KXI, who has just dropped back a little bit from him. Only a little bit, though. Still under pressure, though, there in P3. But then he has been one of the big movers, actually, on the start in some sense, overall. I think he's up, let's have a look. Yeah, he's up 2 positions, like,
well,
which,
we
yeah.
have one of the Aston Martins on the inside of Ferry.
Yeah,
Really nice and tidy, great move. Um, I literally I don't think Ferry expected that, and I didn't either. And I was on board with Ferry.
no, well, that was a nice move by Chunky who is now up into P6, back where he started. So far, only 3 drivers, all of which inside the top 10, are in the same position where they started, and that's Bob Ross, Chunky, and MG Dunn. They're the only only 3, sorry, that have remained where they started, pretty
Yeah.
much.
I mean, we got Bob Ross leading away for 4 seconds out in front on the soft, which is naturally the quickest tyre. But the ones that really stand out for me at the minute is the hard runners, Oscar, KXI, and Shudan. I think later on in the race they will be there or thereabouts. So it'll be quite interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, indeed it will be. The thing for Bob Ross is obviously he will come into the pits earlier, probably I'm going to say lap 9 or 10, maybe 11 if he pushes those tyres long enough and quick enough, sort of thing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Um, so, yeah, he will certainly be like probably going, well, I think he'll box lap 10, my prediction is. That'd be a good stint on the softs.
yeah.
And then come
And
in, fit the hards.
get the hards,
20.
yeah, get the hards on there. Um, and then obviously people around him will be on the medium, so it'd be quite touch and go. But it's really who can manage the tyre the best.
Indeed. So, right, have we got any battles on the track? I don't really think so, apart from a bit further down the grid. As we got Grumpy Gillis. In fact, there is a position
We
change.
got we got KXI has just overtaken Papa Stevo on turn one.
Yeah, and Tom and McDunn are MG Dunn is fighting for P8 currently as Dunn goes down the inside at turn 4, gets a little bit wide. That sort of allows Tom to have a look at getting the switch back, but doesn't get it, unfortunately for him, and that is done. Now up another position, as his next target will be Ferry then for P7.
Yeah, Magdam is on the rear of Ferry. He's looks a lot faster. A lot of the
Yeah,
medium runners as well. They're starting to struggle a bit now. As I say, it's all about managing them tyres and who's had the right setup.
indeed it will be. And Bahrain isn't the most easiest of easiest circuits, as we've
No,
got a battle for now P5 actually. Then here, P5 and P6 looks like Chunky is about to make a pass, gets the DRS open, and pulls to alongside and is easily ahead as they go into turn 1. So that was a nice, easy pass, but a little bit wide
nice
on the exit actually there.
exit. Yeah, oh, we had a
And
bit of a spin.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, he's gone. Shudan's gone back in front.
that's a bit of a disappointment for the Aston Martin driver overall. As we got then Ferry getting caught by the Alpine of McDunn and them two. Well, Ferry's getting caught by McDunn and by Tom, so Ferry could drop all the way down to P9 here if he's not careful in terms of how he handles this one between the two as Tom goes wide on the exit of turn 10, doing a lovely line through there, track extending beautifully. Um,
Yeah, it just seems to me riding on board with the two soft runners, J.R. Morgan and Bob Ross, are really benefiting with these soft tyres. That they seem a bit better tyre than the medium runners at the minute because they're just burning up their tyres a little bit. But
well, the
as I say,
Softs is holding up well so
yeah,
far, very well.
yeah, really well.
As Chunky's going to reattempt then this move on uh, Shudan Then here for P5, gets the move done again cleanly into turn 1. This time, can he keep the exit nice and clean? Indeed, he does. And I think that is Chunky
Well,
then
with the
up
move done.
into P5. So long he keeps it into turn 4, which he does, that is definitely the move done then there. And his next target then will be Stevo. So yeah, talking of the tyres, as you were saying, the tyres are, well, for the soft runners, are holding up well, especially for Bob Ross, who's done
Yeah,
now 10 laps on those, or is on his 10th lap.
and he's still holding that 5 second gap, so he's doing really well
Exactly.
on them soft tyres.
The thing is, he
Um,
could extend this and extend if he really wants to, and go maybe to the mediums even. Because if he goes to
yeah,
lap 14,
I
then
think because
yeah,
he's got the danger of the hard runners behind him, if he does that, it's gonna, you might fall off the cliff a little bit, lose a few tenths per lap, and then you're in yourself a worse situation sort of thing. But if you can,
true.
if you can just time this pit stop right and be on the tyre at the right time, I think he'll keep his lead and he'll do well.
Yeah. No, the hard runners are, well, especially Oscar. He's looking like to be the top hard runner at the moment. Good thing when you start on the hards, you've obviously always then got the choice to go either way, whether you want to go softs, aggressive, and then or go a bit more conservative with the mediums. Of course, that's obviously one benefit of that strategy. As Morgan is into the pit lane, he's going for the hards then, so he's decided those softs are done. As Piano Jam picks up 5 second penalty for corner cutting.
Oh, was that a caution and was a yellow flag in the first sector, was it? Or was that just me?
There might have been a yellow flag. Thing is, yellow flags can always be just momentarily, if
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like driver goes off or something. So I think Chunky might have made actually a mistake. Actually, that might have been what the yellow flag was for, because he's now back behind Dunn, but ahead of Ferry again. So yeah, a few mistakes for Chunky so far during this race. Obviously, made that mistake into turn 1, which cost him the position. Like after he got the position, but yeah, overall, yeah, he's made 1 or 2 errors, which cost him a bit of time. So, um, Bob Ross is still on those mediums and on not on the mediums, sorry, on the softs. You'd think he's on the mediums with the way
yeah, really
he's
going
going,
really
obviously.
well. He's extended his lead again by another second.
Yep.
A guy in the chat saying that tier 2 is really showing how it's done. A much different race than Monday so far. I hope everybody can keep this up.
Yep, indeed. Been very, very clean driving so far. Was it the same circuit now for Tier 1?
Yeah, so yeah, it was Monday, same circuit.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, really well done. Really nice drive out there from everybody at the minute.
KXI going a bit deep into turn 10, taking off on the runoffs there, but comes on safely, obviously. Got a 5 second gap back to Stevo, or 3 seconds, or whatever it is, so nice gap. As Dunn is chasing him down for P4, um, and still got this like four-way battle. They're not really overtaking each other, but obviously,
Four way, yeah. I think Chunky but Funky, he may be in there as well. Um, even in Ferry, really. Um, but it's quite close from second down to 10th. So there's not much in it.
no, not at all. Overall, there's only about 10 seconds split in, like, yeah, them lot, so it's not too much between them all. As Chunky is into the pit lane, um,
And
what?
Ferry, yeah, and then Ferry just takes the 6th spot away from Chunky, but obviously he's pitted.
And them two going for the hards. So, yeah, them two onto the hard tyres as Oscar goes a little bit wide. Rightio. Bob Ross currently in P1 leading the way on those softs still. He's having an excellent race so far, I'd have to say.
Yeah,
Really doing well. And as I said, I don't know if he's listening to the stream, but he's taken my advice, I'd say.
really, really showing us how it's done on them soft tyres at the minute. He's the only runner out there on the soft tyres. He's pulled another second out on Oscar, who's on the hard. You would think at this stage that the soft tyres would wear, but he's really going for it.
Yep, and he's going for another lap as well. So 14 laps, pretty much, if he completes this lap on those softs. Well, it will be 14 either way because he has to come around to get to the pit lane. So, yeah, 14 laps on those softs. That's incredible so far. Like, they must be on at least, like, now 60 or 70%, I would have thought.
Oh yes.
Must be pretty dead. As McDunn gets
So
5 seconds for speeding in pit lane.
yeah, I see that 5 second speed penalty. That's anyone's new to who's watching the chat. You must slow down at the pit entry on the line, no less than 50 miles an hour. So you must get the car slowed down 50 miles an hour or lower. Otherwise you get a penalty.
Yeah, 5 seconds is pretty costly. It can be that type of penalty. Even though you can get rid of that one if there's like a safety car,
Yeah,
which still penalises you, but at least you can get rid of it, I suppose. So currently for the fastest lap, Bob Ross is also taking that. So Bob Ross is taking a full 26 points so far. Is it a normal point scoring system in this league? I'm pretty sure it is, if I'm
yeah,
correct. Yeah.
sure.
Bob Ross is finally in. Now, will he go for the mediums or will he go for the hards? What do you think?
I believe he'd go for the hards. Um,
I'm going to say mediums.
Go for the hards. We've got
Let's see.
Oscar now taking over the lead of the Grand Prix, and Bob Ross goes on the mediums.
Yep. That's a pretty wise call. So, Oscar currently obviously in the lead. Obviously, they're on now 14 lap old hards compared to Bob Ross, who's on 0 lap mediums effectively. So, brand new mediums. So, he's going to be absolutely rapid, I'd have
Yeah,
thought, between now and the time Oscar pits. And he's
I
already got a
mean
7 second lead.
Bob Ross is coming up behind very quickly on Shoe Done, but he wants to pass him very quickly. He doesn't want to be dilly-dallying around, you know,
Yeah.
losing time. Because obviously he had a 7 second gap between him and Oscar. So he wants to pass the cars as quick as possible, but obviously, you know,
Without losing time.
clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure he will be able to do that. Like, I don't know whether Shudan will fight him too hard. I doubt he will, because they're not really racing the same race at the moment. If you
Yeah,
know what I
so
mean.
he's in the points now. So soon done. He's in the points. You know, just keep his head, get as many points as possible as he can. Obviously, Bob Ross is the much quicker car, so yeah, he shouldn't fight him too much, as you say.
No. Plus, obviously, it probably won't be much of a fight while he's come into the pits. So that's the fight over. Then for Shudan and Bob Ross. So Bob Ross, he'll be pleased to see Shudan in all truth, given that, obviously he's on those fresh mediums. And obviously Bob
Mm.
Ross is going to have a very big lead now. Probably, well, I think he's extended it by maybe a further 3 seconds potentially here, because it's about, what, a 20 1 second pit loss, if I'm correct in saying, or 22-second pit loss. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll come very comfortably out into the lead when he retakes that. But in terms of someone who has jumped, Ferry has jumped Shu Dun, I believe, if I'm correct in saying, wasn't he? Was he ahead or was he behind? 'Cause I'm pretty sure McDunn was behind.
He was ahead, and then Bob Ross obviously overtook him, but he's
Yeah,
lost on quite a few places. But the person what really surprised me before the first lot of pit stops was Brian. He got all the way up to eighth. So yeah, so I'm not sure why he's down so low, but could have had a bit of a moment.
yeah, indeed. Trouble is, when you have a moment, especially if you have a, depends on how big of a moment it is, like if it's a wing, you're going to effectively lose a lot of time. And especially if
Oh
there's
yes,
no safety cars, then it
yeah,
hurts even more. But
that's right.
Chunky and Steve-O fighting it out for P5 at the moment. They are, I believe, the closest like battle in the points wise on the track. As Steve-O's gone to the inside, goes defensive.
Chunky has got DRS and he's
Yep,
on the right hand side.
gets moved down again well
Gets that
before
move
the
done.
turn. It's just
Gets
can he
it
slow down?
slow it down in the breaking point.
He's gone too
He's,
deep there,
yeah,
and yeah, I think Steve-O should be able to get this one back.
should be able to. Is he going to give lovely bit of racing,
Yeah,
giving each other plenty of room there.
on the limit, but fairly clean and fully, well, both of them just very respectful there, just about keeping it no contact. And this bringing the other two, or Shudan and Ferry, into play then, it is. So obviously, them two battling is slowing each other down a little bit.
That's right.
Um,
When you battle, obviously you're coming offline and online. It slows you down, and you just got to be really careful. Obviously, whoever's behind you making up time on you, you know.
yeah, obviously. Um, I don't know who's been really looking the quicker driver. I don't know, like, I think they, well, all four of these drivers of Shudan, Ferry, and Stevo and Chunky all look very evenly matched in terms of pace. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I think all drivers are showing some class out there this afternoon. But while we were talking, Oscar's pitted for the mediums. So let's see now how well he can make up some time on Bob Ross. We've got KXI hasn't pitted yet on the hards. Um,
No.
but yeah, I
Um,
think a lot of people have showed some class in their own right.
yeah,
Nice and
and
clean so far. You know, no safety cars.
yeah, and Shudan goes down the inside of the Ferry at turn four, gets the move done nicely and clean. Lovely battle overall between them two. In fact, between these four, it's fantastic to see the battle they're having on the track. As Chunky pulling away a little bit here, he's opened up a small gap. Whether he can
Yeah,
break that 1 second is another question.
we got Shuey now in the DRS, in the DRS train, but he couldn't get there quite well in the braking zone. But all three of them, Shuey, Papa Stevo, and Chunky Blues, I think we haven't seen the last of it yet. I think they're going to be quite close all the way through down to the finish.
Yep, indeed. Obviously, in terms of penalty, obviously Shudan does have that 3 seconds, which obviously would drop him obviously back to the back of this like group here, obviously. So maybe this why he's being a bit more aggressive in terms of the way he's driving at the moment, trying to get through
Yeah,
as he gets a position up into now fifth. So he will go chasing after Chunky then for fourth, but he would have to bridge out a 3 second gap then if he wanted to hang on to P4 if he gets past.
Yeah, I think he's on the mediums as well, and they will obviously won't work as well. They won't operate as well towards the end of the Grand Prix, as best as the hards. And I think them boys will just drag them back a little bit. But we see how it plays out.
Yeah,
But it's quite good racing, fair racing at the minute.
yeah. And in terms of the gap to the leader, obviously it's a net 15 seconds at the moment. KXI think he's probably doing the opposite to what Bob did with the soft to hards.
Yeah, I was
Well,
thinking about that. I just can't help but think that I think KXI will go on the softs
yeah,
and run towards the end and be very fast. Um, we don't want to see a safety car, but if there is a safety car,
well, we might
uh,
get one because there is a yellow flag.
there's a yellow flag.
It's for Wiki. Um,
Oh,
let's have a
and
look.
KXI is in the pits and he's going on the softs
Yeah,
as we're speaking.
he will come out. Let's have a look. He's going to come out right in the middle, well, right at the back of kind of this pack
This
almost.
free battle, free car battle. Um,
Trouble is for him, like, obviously he's on those softs, which is good, but, you know, given his pace, I feel like he probably should have stopped maybe a lap or two sooner onto those softs, if you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah.
And we
Well,
do
we have
have
been
a car out.
another.
It's Wiki. He's
I mean,
but he's DNF'd in the pits, but it's all good. Any other things you're seeing on the track?
yeah, I mean, you got obviously the back runners now all on the hards. Bob Ross really just stretching that lead out again.
Yep.
Um,
Shudon makes a
I mean,
lovely
Bob Ross
box.
and Oscar has really driven a race really without fault. Um, but the race what's really interesting me at the minute is Shoe Dun, Chunky Blues, and Papa Steve. I think these three will race each other towards the end of the Grand Prix now, and hopefully we see some good battles.
Indeed,
We got
and
KXI just overtook Papa Stevo. We have a spinner
of
in
Chunky.
the last sector. Chunky, will that bring out a safety car?
No, shouldn't do. He just spun. Unless he DNFs, I have my doubts. But Stevo tried to go on the outside of KXI, but doesn't get the move done. And obviously, KXI defended lovely, actually, there, considering he had no DRS. That would have been quite tricky. Because DRS is very
Yeah,
powerful in this game,
yeah.
I find. And same with the ERS, it's very, very powerful. Um,
So KXI now just putting in them fast laps, and his next victim is
Shoot
Shoe
done.
Dun. Um, don't want to get behind him and stay behind him too long. I
No.
really want to pass him as quick as possible, and I doubt that he will be on his way.
Thing for Shoe done, obviously, he's got a 3 second penalty, so if he can get past him very quickly, there's even a chance of a P2 here for obviously KXI here going into the final few laps maybe. There'd only be a 8 second to 9 second gap to bridge. It's doable, not 100%, but you know what I mean. It is a doable. I think that would be as I think he'll get the move done into turn one, gets the DRS open.
KXI, yeah, KXI, he's got DRS. He's on the right hand side off the racing line. He will pass him nicely. He comes back on the
Yeah,
racing line down into the braking. He's got the car stopped nice and slow, and yeah, good exit, and away he goes.
yeah, but Shudon is going to have the DRS in return, and he's going to go for it down the inside, I think, but KXI breaks a little bit later and keeps the position. So KXI hangs on
Will
to
be on his,
P3.
yeah, he will be on his way.
Yep, and now he's only
And
got to bridge a 6 second gap.
well, I can't help to think why Shudan has been dilly-dallying around, fighting a position really where he knows that he can't win. Papa Stevo, sorry, has really found some time in the he's on there on his knocking on his back doors.
Yeah,
So yeah, Papa Stevo is
obviously,
really reeling them in. 1.5 seconds.
Shudon is going to have to bridge out a 3 second lead, so still got to find about, what, 1.3 seconds to Papa Stevo. If
Yeah,
he wants to keep P4. So Stevo's certainly looking in a strong position if he can keep it within roughly this range. And it looks like Shudan is going to fight for that P3 very, very hard then, by the looks of it. He's not letting this P3 go, which I don't know whether this is going to benefit him because he is getting DRS from actually it overall, so he will be getting a bit of extra speed as he goes down the inside, gets a move, kind of forces KXI a little bit wide, but he is losing now. Well, he's lost a lot of time actually to Stevo, so back down to 1.4 seconds. Shudan is losing now time from this, as you said a lap ago. So
yeah. Another
yeah,
another battle. In the is ninth, is eighth, and seventh is Tommy and MG done. I mean, Tom is catching him pretty rapid. Both of them on the same tyre, so they're probably will race toward to the end.
the
Um,
only
it'll
thing,
be very
Dunn's
close.
got 5 seconds, so he
Oh
would
yes,
right
yes he
now,
has.
yeah, he would right now currently drop down to, I think, behind Tom, but would just be ahead of Morgan by about a second and a
I
half.
mean, even if you got a penalty, obviously sometimes it's not worth risking. Obviously, the other car smashing into the other car, but if you can do an overtake, it's a bit more for pride. But we obviously want to keep it nice and sensible. We don't want no crashes and whatnot, especially this late in the race.
Exactly.
Mess people's races up.
So, yeah, obviously. Currently, Bob Ross leads the way then from Oscar, who there's a 17-second gap between the pair. Um, KXI still 6.5 seconds behind. Oscar currently in P3. Shudan is in fourth with that 3 seconds as Kisa is out of the race, and we've now got a safety
Safety
car.
car. Um, yeah,
So
very interesting. Very, very, very interesting.
I think the pit lane's going to get very, very busy now. Softs for
It will.
everyone.
Uh, Pretty much, I believe. I think KXI is his tyres are 4 laps old on the softs. Uh, does he stay out? Does he take the chance to stay out? Um, but yeah, it's going to bunch everybody up.
The thing is, like for KXI, I think if he's got, even if it's a slightly fresher set of tyres, I think he's got to still come in and fit those, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But I think he's staying out.
we got Bob Ross and Oscar,
Yeah.
and yeah,
So KXI's chosen track position over the fresher tyres, which is fair enough.
yeah.
There will be only
To be
maybe 2 laps when we resume.
Yeah, to be honest, if I was KXI, that's what I would have done. I would have done the same, stayed out. Um, is just really looking after these tyres now. Um, from now until the safety car comes in.
So, what you think of? Because there's a few going on to the mediums. What do you think of their strategy overall, going on to the mediums here?
Yeah, wouldn't have been my choice really. You're only going to get a couple of laps in. You want to be fast, especially when you've got some fast runners behind you like KXI, Oscar. Um, but if anyone can do it the way he's running tonight, would be Bob Ross. He's raced a good race tonight, and
Indeed.
if he can keep them lads behind him, um, yeah, it'd be good.
Obviously, he does have that one car buffer between himself and Oscar going into this safety car restart, which will be, I'm sure, beneficial for him because KXI, I'm pretty sure, isn't going to give up that P2 without a fight. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting restart. It's very interesting
Also,
restart. It's looking after them soft tyres now. I think KXI, in my opinion, going back, he's going to be a little bit of a sitting duck with Oscar behind him. The time we get going, so we're going to end up having 2 laps of racing, and them soft tyres are going to be half worn out.
yeah, talking about sitting ducks, Tom and Morgan, JR Morgan, um, both are on those hards still as well. Their tyres are 13 and 15 laps old respectively. They're going to be sitting ducks, I think, here. I don't know
Yeah,
how they're going to be a
I
bit
mean,
scorched.
I think we're a couple of guys on the grid as well. A safety car coming out this late. I think early doors of being the second Grand Prix, they're probably thinking just getting some points on the board for their
Yeah,
team. Um,
indeed. So it's going to be a probably about 3 lap shootout then for all the drivers. I'm not sure whether safety car will come in this lap. Um, it might do, even though they've still got back markers trying to catch up to the back of the pack. So they should be able to catch, I think, before the end of this lap. Otherwise, it'll be a 2 lap shootout. Um,
mm.
so, yeah.
I think the person really in the wars here who's going to be a sitting duck is Grumpy Grills. I mean, he's not in the points anyway. He's not in the top 10. Um, I think he's going to get past left, right, and centre, but we'll see how well he can keep out of trouble in the next remaining laps.
Well, that's the thing. Obviously, given there's only 3 laps to go, like, or potentially two, um, I'm thinking like there could be some drivers maybe a bit too opportunistic. I don't know how wild this is going to get, um,
Yeah,
if you know what I mean. And safety car then will come into the pit lane at the end of this lap, so therefore Bob Ross will dictate the pace. It's his prerogative of when to go, then, as he will lead us to green, then for the restart in Bahrain. Where do you think he'll go? Is he going to catch them sleeping? He's still holding off on his restart, and I think
and they
he's
go.
gone now. So we are
And,
racing then back
and we
to
got
green.
Oscar is all over KXI.
Yeah, Oscar's going to make an easy move down the inside. They're all squabbling for a bit of
Um,
position at the back, though, behind them. That
hurry,
will.
hurry.
So, yeah, Oscar's through. Then he's up into P2. Weren't too difficult for him. Shudan is up now into fourth. Um, as McDunn, MG Dunn has, got rid of that 5 seconds.
Got rid of
But
the
he's up into eighth overall.
But
So,
Oscar is all over the back of Bob Ross on this restart. Um, he really needs to get it done. Get on with it. Um,
well, there is only 2.5 laps then to go for them all. Only 5 tenths between the two leaders then, as Bob Ross leads the way. He's led pretty much every lap, albeit for the pit stop phase, during
And
this race.
obviously, the people who are watching, obviously, you don't get a DRS straight away. It's 2 laps before you get the DRS, so he should get DRS on the final lap.
Yeah, he will get that on the final lap indeed. So long he remains within a second of the car in front. So far he's currently within 5/10 of them two. Shudan then moves on to the podium. He's got to pull out a 3 second gap. That is probably doable. He is on mediums though, compared to those behind. And McDunn is making up a lot of places here. As Chunky is out of the race, that won't cause um, a any like safety car. That should be all fine. And we've got a real scrap behind, literally Steve-O. There's like 5 cars all battling away, as I think the Red Bull has hit the Aston Martin a little bit. So these lads are all battling it out. So these lads are really fighting, probably trying to get that final point overall.
And we've got Oscar really, really making up some ground on Bob Ross now. Bob Ross on the mediums,
Yeah.
Oscar on the softs.
Those
Yeah,
mediums weren't the best tire to go on by no means,
no.
and it's certainly paying off for the soft runners here as Oscar has a little look down the inside of Bob Ross. So we enter then the final lap of the race,
Oh, 3 second penalty for track limits.
and well, it's not
Oh,
over yet, I suppose, because you never know if if Bob Ross goes wide somewhere, might get a 3 seconds himself. As they make a little bit of contact. Oscar maybe a little bit
really?
impatient there.
Yeah, Bob Ross was making it really hard for him on the straight, but all said, them boys are keeping it very fairly. Good bit of racing.
Yeah,
Really well done.
but even though Oscar gets past, he ain't going to keep that position because
No,
obviously Bob Ross will pick up the
eh,
win due to that 3 seconds.
that's right.
And in terms of another driver who could get on the podium, if he can just claw back 3/10, well now 4/10, KXI could get a podium
I
here.
think I think Bob Ross realised that he had a 3 second penalty, and he just didn't make it too hard for him. Going down into that
Yeah,
first corner.
yeah, indeed. Obviously,
That's just quite unfortunate, really.
no need to
By
fight too
Oscar.
much. So Oscar's going to take the flag first, but Bob Ross will come out the final corner then to win the Bahrain Grand Prix from then Oscar from Shudan. Then comes KXI, then in the Alfa Romeo and McDunn. Papa Stevo comes home fifth, Robbo seventh, Iron Kid in eighth, uh, Shippo Legend in ninth. Screen Daz picks up the final point. Ferry misses out, and then JP Morgan also missed out on points as well. Tom Skinner comes 13th, Brian 14th, Crumpy Gillis in 15th, and Piano Jam and Spandon the Gamer coming home dead last in 18th. And
Yeah.
now my
Wow.
audio fixed itself at the end of the race. Yeah,
Wow. I was saying, what a race. Tier two really showing it's how it's done.
yeah,
Really good racing by all guys. Really. Nice fair racing, and yeah, really well driven by everybody.
yep, indeed. So, who's your driver of the day?
Oscar, I think Oscar, he just kept it really well. Just on that last corner, really.
Yeah,
I didn't expect anything different from Bob Ross. We knew that he was fast from the get go.
Of course.
Put it on pole on the 128s. The only driver to get into the 128s. But yeah, a solid drive from Oscar.
Yeah, no. Oscar certainly done a really good job there. Overall, he's like been the standout other than Bob Ross, and yeah, I agree with that. Overall, done a very good job. Um,
Okay.
so yeah,
Well,
then
thank you very much for everybody tuning in for the Wednesday Tier 2 League, and I hope to see you all next week.
yep, indeed.
Okay,
Sound.
well, thank you very much.